What is up? We are officially live on my guy Maddybetts YouTube channel. Dana White's Contender Series just wrapped up. A wild night of fights, maybe the best of the season so far there. Maddie and I around, though, we're going to be breaking down this Saturday's card, which is a special one. It's kind of a pay-per-view, kind of not. This weird event at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Noche UFC celebrating Hispanic Heritage Night. So there will be a lot of Mexican flavor on this card to come. But first, of course, I got to bring in my guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the long shot legend, Mattybetts, Matt Tanner. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Dude, how about Sean motherfucking Strickland, baby?
I could not wait to come on here and talk with you on Tuesday about Sean Strickland and how that fight played out on Saturday, because it made
I got to give credit where credit is due. You brought me on to that pick. Now, granted, I don't ever tell anybody. Like, I always have to make it my own pick too, because even guys I respect like you and a lot of other people, I'll still go with my own pick. But dude, you opened my eyes to that shit. You 100% opened my eyes. I have to give you the credit. You threw the alley-oop and I slammed it home, and it saved my night. 100% saved my night, because Sean Strickland, just incredible performance. You know what I'm really happy about is the fact that he did not finish Izzy in the first round, because if he would have finished Israel Adesanya in that first round, everyone would have said it was a fluke.
Yep.
But because Izzy survived and Sean dominated, the crazy part is the one round he lost, that was a close round.
Yep.
So it was a complete and absolute domination. Unbelievable pick on both of our behalfs. The Volkov pick, on the other hand, bro, when I tell you, I was so livid. I had $1,000 on Volkov round 2 knockout. Then I had $500 on round 3. Round 3 was 11-1. Round 2 was plus 490. I'm like, you know why I lost that bet? Is because Volkov is so big and long that when he had Ty on the ground, he couldn't even get separation to finish the TKO off. So then he just Ezekiel chokes him. I was like, I cannot believe it. That was easily a top 3 bad beat of my UFC betting career. I won't say it's the worst, but it is up there. That was a $6,000 swing in my pocket. I was like, my night's finished. As bad as it's going, now Sean Strickland's about to get slept. I was like, I know it's coming. Next thing you know, Strickland brings me life. First round knockdown. And I was scared shitless after that. I was like, how did he not get him out of there? Because now I'm scared that he's going to catch him in the second or third round. And man, what a performance. Defensively, the most impressive thing about that fight is how he did defensively.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, the thing about it is it's so cool when you bet like a long shot like that and you kind of can imagine what it looks like. I always wanted to see someone fight Israel Adesanya that way. Push him against the cage, have the nerve to go in and trust your defense in the pocket like that. And we know, because Sean spars all the time, that he was comfortable for 25 minutes. You know, I thought there was clear betting value. I thought the fight was going to be somewhat competitive. I didn't think that he would at times make Izzy look like a complete amateur. So, you know what's funny is that you say that I tipped you onto that. It's really weird that occasionally there are like these what is it called? Like an eclipse play, like in the space where an eclipse comes over the sun. Every sharp that I know was on Sean Strickland. Every sharp that I know, that I trust, they do everything differently. Some guys are data guys, some guys are film guys. Every single one that I talked to was on Sean Strickland on Friday. It's just a value proposition, you know, just like you and I, like, we're expecting a closer fight than normal. But, you know, hats off to Sean. Weird middleweight picture now, and a lot of different potential fights to make from there. But it certainly was a great Saturday. Maddie, how much you win off Sean Strickland? Because you had you had decision as well, correct?
So I had the split decision for a quarter unit, so I lost that bet. That was 28 to 1. I lost that one. I had 1,000 I had 1,000 on him at plus 525, so I hit that for 52.50. And then I had like $300 or $400 on him on another site. So I think I made like 8 or 9 total off of him, and then I threw back the 250 on the split decision. But it definitely saved my night for sure. So I got to ask you, would you take Strickland or Duplessis in a pick?
Now that is a very interesting one to call. I think it'll actually be a harder call for me than this past one was, because Duplessis' physicality is hard to handicap, but Sean on the surface has the things you need against him: excellent takedown defense and tremendous striking defense. And Dreykus leaves himself open for counters a lot. I'd feel a lot better about it if Sean was a little bit more of a power puncher. That shot he landed on Izzy, by the way, was a haymaker. So if he can bring that level of power against Dreykus, I think it'll be pretty close. And I would anticipate that fight's got a pretty close money line when we're previewing it come whenever that's made.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if Duplessis doesn't get him out of there in the first 10 minutes, I think Sean will take over.
Yeah. Big time gas tank disparity between those two and how they fight at a pace, certainly. But let's dive in here to our fights. We said we were going to preview Noche USA, not talk about how much money we want on Sean Strickland. So let's dive in. Kind of an interesting card. And this first fight up on the card, Maddie, has been a headache for UFC matchmakers. It's been a headache for me trying to keep track of it. This fight at one point had Lupi Godinez and Yasmin Lucindo in it, and now we are left with Josephine Knutsson, who was denied 3 weeks ago a contract on the Contender Series. She just got a decision win. Wasn't overly impressive. Dana White said no thanks, but now he needs her, and she stepped in to face Lucindo. Lucindo now out. We've got Mann, another Contender Series alum. She was knocked out by Bruna Brasil on the Contender Series. So a couple entry-level strawweights here, Maddie. You can't have a ton of confidence in this one with both of these guys basically making their UFC debut here. You have any deep thoughts about this guy?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of footage on both of these ladies. I'll tell you what, you should see her Instagram, bro. She's like, this picture's a little deceiving. She's actually leaner than she looks. She got a shredded back. She's strong. She's got good grappling. But look, I think Josephine's very good defensively.
Right.
But she does like kind of hang out in the clinch a little bit. And I think that's the one way she could maybe lose this fight if she does that too much, but she's pretty good defensively. She keeps her hands high. I haven't watched a ton of tape on this fight by all means. But this is a tough one to get behind. I think she's just like 8-0 or something.
Yeah.
6-0.
She's
6-0. I think she's
6-0
8-0 now. 6-0. Okay.
Professional record, a little misleading. A longtime Swedish kickboxing champion. So, she's made the transition over to MMA here. I think this is clearly dog or pass, if you ask me, just because you look at Knutsson, 5 of her 6 wins by decision. So she's not really a separator. We saw that on the Contender Series, and it was like a gifted matchup for her on the Contender Series because Isis Verbeek didn't even attempt a takedown. If you got a kickboxer transitioning over, what was our thing with Alex Pereira? We wanted to see him grapple. Mann might be able to do a little bit of that. She landed 4.71 takedowns per 15 minutes on the Contender Series against Bruna Brasil. Very similar matchup to this one, although Brazil's a lot bigger than Knutsson. She's a lot longer than Knutsson. And Mann was able to take her down a few times as well before getting finished. So I think it's clearly dog or pass. Mann could have some wrestling success in this fight. I would say the most likely outcome is probably Knutsson by decision, but I'm guessing that'll come at
that's exactly what I was going to say next. I want to see what the price tag is on that when it comes out.
If it comes out at minus money, I have no interest just because there's such an unknown with Knutsson. Mann's striking defense on the Contender Series was awful, 18%. It was dreadful. So I almost think like a cheeky under here might be what I end up playing if the number gets big enough, but I don't have a significant lean one way or another here.
Yeah, I always wonder what Mann by decision would pay.
Yeah. Probably a ton if she's a plus 350 dog. And I got to think when we get over 2.5 rounds, props on FanDuel Sportsbook, I imagine this one will be north of minus 400.
100%. All right, well, let's not spend too much time on that one.
So interesting one to hear at lightweight as well. We initially had Natan Levy, kind of the rising Israeli star at lightweight here, who's had a couple of good efforts. Levy, unfortunately, out due to an injury. So Charlie Campbell, Contender Series alum as well, stepping in here against Alex Reyes. And man, Alex Reyes makes me feel bad at my job because I totally forgot he existed in his UFC debut. He got sparked by Mike Perry with a knee in the first round. He has not fought in 6 years since that time, and Mike Perry's UFC career has come and gone. And we just saw Charlie Campbell last season on Dana White's Contender Series. He took on Chris Duncan, who's now 2-0 in UFC, the Scottish guy. that fought Ashmuz left, if you're trying to remember who that is. Wild first round with Duncan. Campbell had him hurt. Duncan ends up finding the knockout on Charlie Campbell, but Charlie will get his shot here. He's a pretty sizable favorite. Maddie, what are you thinking about our long lost friend Alex Reyes here?
I think Charlie Campbell's a pretty interesting prospect, man. Super fun to watch. I think he's going to starch this dude. I think he starches them in the first round or two. He is crazy good power, good leg kicks. I just think you're asking a lot. This guy hasn't fought since what? When was that?
2017.
Mike Perry 2017. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what he's been doing since then. I want to see what that round one knockout prop would look like in this fight, but because I mean, you can't really. He did lose to Duncan in the Contender Series, but
I will admit Duncan's a lot better than I thought he was going to be coming off the Contender Series. I didn't have high hopes for him, but he beat Omar Morales and now he beat Ashmuz, who was one-handed. But I think he's been somewhat impressive, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I want to see what the under. I want to see what the over/under price tag is on that under.
It's so funny that you said Charlie Campbell first round, because that's what I've already wrote up in my preview that I've have written over on FanDuel Research, because the thing about Reyes that does add a little bit of intrigue here is this appearance is allegedly going to be at lightweight. We'll see if he makes weight, but his debut was short notice at 170. So if this is his official weight class, you could think maybe it has a chance to go potentially better. But the problem is, he's been off for 6 years. And if you go on Twitter and you search a lot of injuries, like bad type of injuries and infections and things like that, like typically that comeback story doesn't end with a happy ending against a guy with absolute hammers, which Campbell's already got a knockdown on his UFC affiliated record. I think he's minus 400 here for very good reason. I would not be surprised if this number closes north of minus 550 when we get to fight night.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he has. Yeah, he has 0 submission wins in MMA, 5 wins by knockout, 2 by decision. Honestly, if Alex can survive the first round, I bet you that round 2 KO sitting nice.
Yeah, round 1 is absolutely going to be juiced here, and we don't know enough about Campbell and maybe Reyes's deficiencies at this point to know if that we want to cross off sub right away. Just because he doesn't have any professional submissions, we go back to the homework board, see if Charlie Campbell's got a jiu-jitsu background at all. Looked like it was just a slugfest with Duncan, so maybe I'm leaning knockout, but that'll be the less enticing prop.
He won a grappling match in 2022 against Walter West by decision. Yeah.
Even a dude willing to roll is a good start. That's a good sign.
Maybe we're onto something there.
Yeah.
Maybe like a first round guillotine after he hurts him or something.
These UFC contracts are weird. If they're allowing Reyes to fight this out and they don't feel he's a UFC caliber fighter at this point, interestingly, Charlie Campbell is a larger favorite here than Natan Levy's line closed at. Levy closed at minus 390, Campbell already greater. So that's really interesting. The odds makers have a higher opinion of the newcomer here than a guy, Natan Levy, who I think you and I both like, right?
Yeah, no, that's actually wild. I didn't know that. It's good insight.
So, Campbell's got hammers. So we'll keep looking on that one. We'll sniff around the numbers when they come later this week. But from there, we go to a fight that I've called the Spider-Man meme. Tracy Cortez taking on Jasudavicious, basically ranked fighters here. Jasudavicious is basically 16th. She just fell out of the rankings after Karine Silva's big win last month in Boston. So basically ranked fighters. Cortez, maybe the quietest 5-0 start in UFC history, all of them coming via decision. Jasudavicious put herself on the map with that big win over Miranda Maverick in Canada earlier this summer. So couple of grapplers, couple of really, really strong women. What are you thinking here, Maddie?
Dude, Jasmine really impressed me in that Miranda Maverick fight. I couldn't tell at first if we should just be lower on Miranda Maverick or if Jasmine's really that good. But I mean, I think even her losses aged well against Silva. Silva hasn't lost since she beat Jasmine, and it's been majority finishes. 2 out of the 3 has been finishes from Silva after she won that fight. What's the money line? It's like a pick'em almost. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that by Saturday you're going to be able to get Jasmine at plus money.
Yep. It's already trending that way. This was a pick'em, and now Cortez is ballooned to minus 118.
Yeah. I don't hate like a Jasmine by decision, like maybe I don't know what that'll pay, plus 250 maybe.
Yeah, For sure. I'm interested that you're on the Jasudavicious side. I thought we'd maybe on split sides here. I think this is dog or pass no matter who it was. But this is a typical betting angle that I wanted to share that I find that these women like Tracy Cortez, they get propped up. It's like the insta bump is what I'd call it. Is that the simp side of the fight, if there is one? And I'm not taking away from Jasudavicious. I'm sure she's got a lovely partner and spouse herself. But Tracy Cortez likes her some Tracy Cortez on Instagram. A lot of men that like UFC follow Tracy Cortez on Instagram. I think that bump can come up from time to time. So I think by default, they'd pick her here. But the thing is, Tracy Cortez has been a little bit of a weight bully, a little bit of a wrestler. She's been very efficient, 48% takedown accuracy. Jasudavicious is at 44%, and she's fought better competition. Natalia Silva was about as bad of a matchup for Jasudavicious as it gets. She's quick. She's got great takedown defense. Jasudavicious looked like an amateur, but now we find out, how Natalia Silva made Andrea Lee look in the striking game. Like, Silva's just very, very good at this point.
Right.
I think Jasudavicious might actually be the better striker here. She'll have 3 inches in reach. She's longer. She's taller, so she's got more of an effective reach with her legs as well. I feel good about plus money with Jazz. If I got it with Cortez, her efficiency marks are a little higher. I think it's just dog or pass. The over is already juiced to the gills here. It's not a fight that's going to feel good to have money on.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like Tracy Cortez, she had all these finishes in MMA, and then she comes into the UFC and doesn't get a single finish.
Right.
And like, can Tracy Cortez land the takedowns if Miranda Maverick can't? Like, I don't know the answer to that,
Yeah, definitely concerning that Cortez couldn't finish Stephanie Egger, who has shown time and time she struggles with jiu-jitsu. So really, when you go to bet a fighter, you have to ask themselves, what is their decision equity and what is their finishing equity? We haven't seen a finish from either of these ladies. So this one looks like a grind headed toward the scorecards. And correct, not only did Jasmine have great takedown defense, she actually officially on UFC stats swept Maverick and reversed the position twice. So even if she gets taken down, she was comfortable off her back to sweep, get back to her feet. I feel like Cortez is maybe like the world's softest hammer, where she's had a lot of physical advantage. She's closed as a minus 500 favorite or higher a couple of times in UFC. This is a real dog fight. I think John's comment about this fight being really tough for her is very dead on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I'm gonna be on Jasmine by decision in this one.
Yeah, we'll see how this line goes.
The value is gonna be too high for me to pass on it, but we'll see what the number ends up for sure.
So let's move on here. This is a fun one. It was my runner-up for kind of the fight of the night pickup. Edgar Chairez taking on Daniel Lacerda. We always love the flyweights around here because it's nonstop action. I think Edgar Chairez covered the spread in his fight against Tatsuro Taira, right? Most of us expected Taira, the Japanese phenom, to just roll through Chairez. Chairez actually, with negative fight IQ, jumped guillotine a couple of times to put himself in a bad position where if he just kept that fight standing, he might have beaten Tatsuro Taira. We saw some definite chinks in the armor with Tatsuro when Chairez fought him. And then on the other side here is Daniel Lacerda. He is chute box to a T. He is willing to walk forward and die to get his own offense off. We saw that badly hurt CJ Vergara in San Antonio earlier this year before Vergara was able to rally for the second round finish. It is not often a guy gets 5 shots to win his first UFC fight, but Daniel Lacerda is, because he's entertaining. This fight should be a barn burner, Maddie. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Lacerda I just don't think he can do it, bro. I really don't.
Interesting.
I think Edgar's going to get it done. I just think, Lacerda's 0-4 in the UFC. I just don't believe in this guy. I really don't when it comes down to it. He just hasn't impressed me. I haven't seen that many moments where I'm just like, where I just don't think he can get it done. I mean, he's aggressive and he's a powerful stand-up game, but I just don't think I think Edgar gained stock from that last loss, like truthfully. I remember sweating out that bet and I lost I think I can't remember if I had him inside the distance or by submission.
Yeah.
What did I have? I'm trying to go back and look. But I remember Edgar stayed tough and couldn't get finished. What did I have? I think I had him to get submitted. I can't remember, but I think he gained stock from that fight.
Let me try to sell you on Daniel Lacerda here. He's actually my favorite underdog on the card. So already 3 knockdowns in his last 2 fights. And typically when regression comes, knockdowns mean knockouts in UFC. He just hasn't been fortunate. And by the way, he had CJ Vergara about as close to finishing a guy as you could. Like, I was sweating Vergara. I laid the chalk with him in a parlay, and I did not think he was going to survive that first round with Lacerda. I think Lacerda is a much better striker than Tatsuro Taira. So it's very interesting to me that Chairez will now have to deal with that, where Chairez was the superior striker against Taira. Lacerda's not out of the woods on the ground. He was submitted by Davison Figueiredo's brother, Francisco. It was an early kind of like tricky knee bar thing. I don't necessarily think it was like a got mounted, gave up his back type of grappling exchange where he really struggled. Like I think Chairez also had the element of surprise in that fight, where now he's got tape on. I don't think Taira had a lot of time to prepare for him, and now I will always take the shoot a box guy here at plus 172 in a wild firefight. We saw Felipe Dos Santos give Manel Kopp a run for his money last week. Just
don't remind me, bro. Don't remind me. I had Kopp inside the distance.
Right. And they just keep coming forward, and they feel tough. And Lacerda, by the way, for anyone that says he's not tough because he's been finished 4 times, he's absorbing 10 significant strikes a minute, 34% striking defense. Both of those are horrible marks. He's absorbing a lot of damage before his chin gives way. It's way too much. He's fought guys like Vergara. He's fought Jeff Molina. He's fought, I'm probably forgetting others as well. Figueiredo, he fought Vergara. I'm forgetting the second to last fight of his.
Victor
Altamirano, right? Altamirano, multi-time UFC winner. A lot of tough competition. I see this as closer to a pick'em, so I love Lacerda at the plus money.
All right. Well, I'll probably have to lay off a favorite here because you sold me.
Yeah, Chairez, interesting regional. I was shocked how he performed against Taira, so we'll see if it sticks. But Maddie, from there, we're going to a fight that I think you and I.
Real quick, do you see, depending on what the number is, do you see a world where Edgar could maybe get a round 2 or 3 stoppage here if he does have success on the feet? And
I think other than the tricky knee bar, most of Lacerda's finishes have been in round 2 or 3. Like, he's been durable. If you were going to target Chairez here, I would look 2-3 inside the distance, whether you'd Chairez is more of a submission guy, if I recall correctly. So perhaps more so leaning that way than knockout. I don't think he was landing with a lot of power. Taira just defended terribly in that fight against Edgar Chairez. So I would probably lean like round 2, round 3 submission if you're asking me how Chairez's win condition would look.
Yeah, he has 6 submission wins in MMA.
Right.
And 6 submission wins and 4 KOs. And that's interesting. In all 3 decisions, on all 3 fights that have gone the distance, he's lost by decision.
I think, Maddie, if you want to put up, Sebastian makes a very good point that it was kind of a gas tank knockout for Lacerda in his last fight, in that he just ran out of gas trying to finish Vergara more so than, got hurt before that. Definitely got taken down early.
100%.
So, Maddie, you and I can't wait to talk about this fight because we teased which sides we're on. It's way better for the audience if we have opposite sides, especially when one of the guys is coming back at minus 310, and that is Roman Kopylov, who all of a sudden looks like a world crusher, landed that devastating head kick at UFC 290 against Claudio Ribeiro. All of a sudden on a 3-fight streak, and now on short notice here, he's going to get Josh Fremd training out here by me in Denver at Factory X Muay Thai. Fremd, personable guy, fun, likable, very toolsy with his 6'4" frame. Hasn't fought great competition thus far, but he's on a 2-fight winning streak against Cedric Dumas and Jamie Pickett. Maddie, I want to hear who you like in this fight and why.
So let me give the viewers the backstory here, because I have a quick 1 or 2 minute story that I think they're going to find very interesting. So I had a very significantly big bet on Josh Fremd inside the distance in his last fight against Jamie Pickett. And I believe personally that he guillotined him, and Jamie Pickett was out for 1 to 2 seconds on the feet. That fight went to the ground from the guillotine and woke him up. And long story short, Jamie Pickett ended up surviving the fight, right? It went the distance. I had maybe 2 or 3 different prop bets on the fight. I had that round 2 submission. I had inside the distance. Long story short, it was thousands and thousands of dollars in a swing for me, right? I went from like winning 4 or 5 grand to like losing a few grand. And so I post on Twitter after the fight. I was like, Josh Fremd is dead to me. Like, I was pissed, right? He hits me on Twitter. He hits me on Instagram. He DMs me. The nicest guy, right? He's like, my bad, bro. That's on me. I should have finished him, right? So then I DM him last night on Instagram. I'll read it to you. So first of all, before I even read that part, when we were going back and forth when he originally DM'd me, he literally said to me word for word, because my IG story said, this is sickening. Jamie Pickett was out on the feet. And he finds my story. So someone either sent him my story or something, or he's just like searching his name and found it. And so he DMs me and says, dude, I'm absolutely sick about it. I said to him, I am going to back you next time, because I just loved his attitude about this whole thing, right? Like most athletes or fighters would be all salty, right? They'd be pissed off. They'd be like, fuck your parlay. I don't care about what you have. Yep. Like, this is my career. This is my livelihood. Like, dude was super nice, had a great attitude. So I told him, I said, look, I will back you next time you fight. Now, granted, I didn't know he was going to get this as his matchup. But I said, I will back you. I believe in you. I'm glad you still got the W. I didn't even think he was going to get another fight in the UFC, right? Yeah. Because that was the last fight on his contract.
Yep.
And it was a very unimpressive win, right? It wasn't
misweight as well.
And exactly. Thank you for bringing that up, because I completely forgot about that. And that's probably the reason he didn't get the finish. Like, something was going on there, right? So then I DM'd Josh last night, because I saw a story. I was like, I got to DM this guy. I know he fights this weekend. I said, yo, bro, are you getting that submission win this weekend? ? He sends back 3 words to me. He says, knocking dude out. He said he's going to knock out Roman Kopylov. So I said to myself, the first thing I thought when he said that is, I said, this could either pay a lot of money if I took Josh on the knockout.
Yeah.
But the other way to look at it is, if he's going into this fight trying to get a knockout and strike with this guy, now that also concerns me at the same time, when that's really, most people would argue that's not his path to victory. Right. What are your thoughts? I got to hear you.
Well, I got to say, that is a lovely story. Also, shout out Josh Fremd for taking it in stride like that, because oftentimes you have what Michal Oleksiejczuk does, which is find my tweet and calls me an idiot for picking against him.
Michal hit me up too, bro. I bet thousands on him.
That's what I mean. Some of these fighters, they do prowl around Twitter, 100%. Like searching for their own name. But shout out Josh Fremd for having a good attitude for it. That is a lovely story, but I'm going to use my head, because Roman Kopylov is going to take this dude's heads off. Because Kopylov, when I look at him, I was not very high on him entering his debut. I actually cashed Carl Roberson by submission in his debut. Weird shout out that I got that outcome. But he's really improved his grappling defense, which was the issue. He's now sitting at a 90% takedown defense overall. Mm-hmm. And on the feet, his efficiency, 52% striking accuracy, 59% striking defense. At his level of competition, facing dudes like Alessio De Chirico, against Claudio Ribeiro, like these guys that have won in UFC, he has taken their heads off. And he destroyed Puna Soriano as well in his most convincing win that I forgot. I like Josh Fremd. Like he trains in my backyard. I think he has a lot of the right tools, and he's got like this multi-dimensional approach. But the thing that concerns me about Fremd so far, 50% striking defense, and that's fighting SD Dumas. That's fighting Jamie Pickett. He's very hittable, leaves his chin very high in the air. And that's my biggest concern against a sniper here in Kopylov. And I'm with you. I would rather hear that he was going after a submission, because that's where we've seen Kopylov vulnerable before. But look, Josh Fremd just got a brand new fight deal. It doesn't matter to him how this outcome comes as far as his longevity in UFC. In my opinion, this is not his normal competition level. So I think he's stepping in on short notice, doing the UFC brass a favor for the new contract, and he's going to reset after this.
Yeah, so a couple things. So one, I almost wonder if he's saying he's knocking dude out because he knows he's not getting the takedowns. I mean,
that's very interesting.
90% takedown defense for this dude. He only got taken down once by Albert Thrive. Like, he's a guy that's gonna literally spam wrestle. Like,
yep.
Josh Fremd's really not that guy. Like, he has wrestling, but he's not gonna be relentless at wrestling. Like, he's gonna stand and strike. This dude's 6'4", 76-inch reach.
Yep.
I gotta tell you, bro, if I don't take Fremd by knockout and he gets it done, it's not worth the FOMO is too much for me, right? So I have to sprinkle on it. Even if it's a quarter of a unit, I have zero choice. I have to do it. Now, if that said, I'm probably going to look at the under of this fight, or maybe the fight to not go the distance. Look, if neither of these guys are getting takedowns, someone's going to sleep. That's the way I look at this fight. So I think that the under, what do you think the under 1.5 would look like?
Under 1.5, I'm guessing it'll probably close around like -170. That's what I'd probably guess.
That number.
Yeah.
I like that number.
It is a good number. And by the way, I think I'm selling Josh Fremd short. The guy went the distance with Fluffy Hernandez in his UFC debut. Right. And some people say that's why they have the highest potential in him, is because Fremd was able to stay safe against a guy that is finishing everybody at 185.
100%. And bro, I am very, very big on Fluffy Hernandez. So I don't know if you remember this, but I took Fluffy Hernandez round 3 knockout at plus 2,500 and hit it.
Yep.
Because he got the ground and pound TKO.
Yep.
But like Fluffy Hernandez to me is really good, really
he's
underrated.
Top 10 guy. He's a top 10 guy in the division. I don't have.
And honestly, but like Fluffy Hernandez is not a guy that has the striking of Roman here. So like, because I was about to say, well, that now it kind of scares me taking the under. Like if Fremd's going to be durable, but I don't know, bro. This one I'm really torn on. I feel like I have to play Fremd by knockout. Let me ask you this: if Fremd were to get a knockout or a TKO, at what point in the fight do you see him having the best time or best chance to get it? Would it be early, first round, second round, third round? I
think it would be early. I think it gets worse for him as Kopylov gets his read, because he is a master of hand fighting. He's a master of sport in boxing and sambo. So like I think the longer Kopylov gets his read, the worse it'll be for Fremd. So I would probably go round 1, but you're right in that he's been very durable, and Kopylov, this will be a first for him, where it's the first time where he's been kind of on a short notice type of fight. This is very normal for Fremd. Came together with Dumas very quickly, came together with Pickett very quickly. So that's another interesting angle.
Right. He gets like a full camp here.
Yep.
100%, bro. I'm telling you, he didn't look like himself in the Jamie Pickett fight. Now, granted, when I was watching that fight, I don't know if this happened to you too, but ESPN Plus dropped the live.
Oh no, I got lucky on that card. My stream stayed all the way through.
You were probably watching on ESPN, or were you watching on Plus?
No, I was on Plus, but I had like a streaming app and a television, so I think it was.
So let me walk you through this. I had thousands of dollars on him, my biggest bet of the card, and then the fight goes out. I was so pissed. So then I turn the fight back on, and it's like halfway through the second round, and I'm like, shit, he's not going to get this finish, is he?
Right.
And then he locks in that guillotine. I swear to this day, I feel like Jamie Pickett was out for at least 1 or 2 seconds. And the guillotine goes to the ground. He wakes up, and then he can't get the finish. And I wanted the sub prop because I had that too, but the inside the distance was the big bet, and I just couldn't believe it. But it is what it is. I almost feel like I have to. It's almost destiny to get it back on him this weekend or to fade him. Either way you look at it. But I like the under here. We'll wait and see what the line comes out to.
See, Maddie, your units are big enough. You just put a quarter unit on it. You can still show him the slip, and he'll be like, "Thanks for believing me in, man." Even though you had way more on Kopylov, so you'll be good to go.
Yeah, no, I think the under is the smart bet in this one for sure.
For sure.
But we'll see what that comes out at. So
we're starting to get better, though. We're starting to get better. That's a pretty good fight. Like, we're actually excited for it, and then it completely falls off a table with the featured prelim, a squash match that I have no idea how it exists here between Lupe Godinez and Elise Reed. Godinez at this point has turned back the lights of Cynthia Calvillo, Emily Ducote, Angela Hill, like fringe ranked girls in this division, and now she's getting Elise Reed, who is 3-3, who is thoroughly limited, as we've seen with takedowns, especially Lupe, I believe at this point, second biggest favorite on the card. I forgot we got Howell coming later, but second biggest favorite on the card. It's still probably a fight that'll be favored to go the distance, though, so a little bit sweaty there. What are you thinking in this one, Maddie?
Oh my God, I'm not thinking a lot about it. I kind of just want to skip it.
I don't want to skip it. Because I really love Lupe in this. And by the way, it looks like Elise Reed has taken some money because she's Lupe's now minus 440 on FanDuel. It was minus 500 when we pulled these numbers earlier today. So a little interesting. Reed is taking money, but Lupe Godinez, 62% striking defense, hasn't as much been wobbled by another girl. I think Elise Reed has maybe one career knockdown, so not like a ton of power at a top level. This would be a fluke starch in the first round, I think, if Elise Reed somehow won this fight with Godinez. You think Godinez, by the way, I know MMA math. People hate MMA math, but Godinez mauled Loma Lookboonmee for 5 takedowns. She just completely dominated her, made Loma look like a AAA fighter. Then Loma fights Elise Reed, takes her down twice, submits her in the second round. That is the gap in these two ladies as far as ground game is concerned. If Loopy comes in with the right game plan, she'll take her down a few times and submit her in the first round, no problem.
So
That's my opinion.
What do you think the submission price tag is going to be at?
It could be higher than it should be because I think Godinez has fallen in love with her hands a little bit, like had a boxing match with Cynthia Calvillo, boxing match with Ducote. She's kind of like rounding out that skill set because when she went to her wrestling against Silvana Juarez Gomez, against Lookboonmee, there was no stopping it. I think Ariane Carnelossi might have been the worst bludgeoning of them. Like, Loopy has passed this level of competition. She's already done. This is the first Mexican squash match of the night for Hispanic Heritage Night because Loopy is going to be celebrating and flying that Mexican flag. I think it's a lock outside of some sort of fluke first-round knockout, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what about like a double chance on Loopy submission decision? Maybe move that juice down to like minus 400.
I wouldn't write her off for a knockout though, just because Elise Reed's striking defense is okay, 53%. You're probably, I imagine round 1 submission will be a prop that I'm on in this fight, just because of how easy Loopy has made it look 3 different times in her career. And that's where Reed struggles. Like, it just, to me, is how explosive does Loopy want to be? Does she want to put on a show for the fans, or does she want to get the quick W? Like, I really think she's going to be playing with her food a little bit.
She only has 1 sub in the UFC, though. Does that concern you at all?
No. Because Loma Lookboonmee, good submission defense. Ariane Carnelossi has some submission wins herself. Elise Reed has been completely hopeless on the mat. Like, this is a woman that just got taken down 3 times by Jinyu Fry, Maddie. Jinyu Fry.
You're selling me on this, bro. I want to see. I mean, that number's got to be.
If this over
plus 150.
If this over is coming back anything shorter than like minus 125 or whatever, we're going to get great prices on Loopy early finish props round 1, round 2, because strawweight books lean back on their historical tendencies. There's not a lot of finishes at women's strawweight. There also aren't a lot of mismatches like this. And Loopy is a very big, powerful strawweight. She's not just like one of these pillow punchers that's trying to stay on the outside for 15 minutes.
100%. I'm going to really take a look at that one, bro. I really like that.
She's a good favorite to target, in my opinion. But we're up onto the main card after that, and we are going to keep the pride of Mexico, Fernando Padilla from Chihuahua. 1 fight into his UFC career, couldn't have gone much better. He completely starched one of the chinniest guys in the sport, Julian Erosa, in the first round. Erosa's very chinny, but I still will say Fernando Padilla, off like a 3-year layoff due to visa issues and stuff, was very, very impressive. And he's taken on a guy that I did not think was going to be sitting here for us to talk about right now, Kyle Nelson. Huge underdog to Blake Bilder earlier this summer in Canada. I thought Nelson was going to get destroyed by Bilder. Bilder fought like an idiot, but you got to give credit to Nelson. His size, his physicality is clearly much better at featherweight than it was early in his career when he was getting finished at lightweight in UFC. Bilder couldn't get any takedowns on Nelson. Nelson was landing the harder shots, won an ugly decision. I don't think this one sets up well for my guy, Kyle the Monster Nelson, but interested to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Bilder, he could barely beat Blake Bilder could barely beat Shane Young. Right?
Yeah,
he
good point.
Out that decision, and that really didn't age that well.
No.
Like, I'm really low on Shane Young, and then Blake Bilder goes and loses to Kyle Nelson in a decision. This is just really. This is a really tough fight.
I think if you evaluate level of competition, Kyle Nelson's been fighting at a lower elo than this against Bilder. Then Padilla got Julian Erosa. So this is like right on the fringe of the rankings, right? You remember Erosa put together those great performances against Sean Woodson, against Hakeem Dawodu. So like Erosa's taken out some good guys, and Padilla looked like the better guy in the octagon that night.
Right.
He's just so big for this division. 6'1", 76-inch reach. He's almost like Jalen Turner's measurables at featherweight, bro. He's not quite as big as Jalen, but considering the guys he's going to be fighting against, Nelson usually has a size advantage over these guys. And look at Nelson's height and reach in comparison. I think Fernando Padilla is very, very special.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, if you look at Kyle Nelson's face and chin, he just looks like a guy that's about to go to sleep.
Well, Billy Quarantillo put him there as well. as well. I think Kyle Nelson's only 2 wins now over Builder, and I think Marco Polo Reyes. So not a lot of UFC success in the guys. And by the way, Kyle Nelson also lost to Jai Herbert, who, in my opinion, was one of the worst fighters on the roster. So,
dude, that Jai Herbert had one good moment. That was just the head kick against Taporia. Oh my god! You know what's funny is you can really find value fading guys that have lucky moments like that. You know?
Yeah.
Because like
100%.
the whole perception on that guy is just totally different. I even fell for it. I was like, man, Jai Herbert. I mean, he has good striking. He's fast. He caught Ilya Taporia, and then it's just like, dude's not that good though.
Can I throw a name out here as an example? To me, Kelvin Gastelum, that one fight against Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum's been dusted by just about every other ranked middleweight he's fought.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Short of a headbutt on my guy Chris Curtis. Shout out the action man. But I like Padilla here. I don't really have a good grasp on what he does well. Nelson has shown chin issues at times, so I think I'd lean knockout. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a straight round 1 prop on Padilla above all, and then I might build on it from there.
What do you think the more likely outcome is? Him to get a decision win or a knockout?
You know, it's interesting because he does have submissions on his record, but that's not probably the approach I would take against Julian Erosa either. So I truly see it as almost a 50-50 endeavor at this point. Padilla has shown some really great submissions regionally. And that is intriguing to me because we're probably going to get a better price, Maddie, on sub than we will knockout, because if people go to what the historical tendencies are, Padilla got a knockout in his last fight, it'll probably be the less pricey option. We'll get longer odds on a submission. If you know what I'm saying.
Well, he has 8 wins by submission and 5 by knockout in his MMA career.
Yeah, he's a really good submission guy. Not the approach I would take against Erosa either, so I just haven't seen it with my data to confirm that.
Right. And Kyle Nelson, he hasn't really gone out early on the feet, right? Like he survives 2 or 3 rounds before he gets finished.
Oh, you love those guys. You love those guys because then you get the round 2, round 3 bump.
Yeah, I'm almost looking at this of like, I get Fernando round 2, 3 sub. That's got to be juicy.
Yeah. I love Fernando in daily fantasy this week. 11.88 significant strikes per minute in his first fight. This guy's going to put points on the board if you play FanDuel or somewhere else for MMA daily fantasy.
100%. Here, I got to read you off his submissions real quick.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Triangle choke round 3 was his last one. That was in 2018. Triangle choke round 1. Or no, I'm sorry. Triangle armbar round 1, 2017.
Okay.
Armbar round 1, 2017. Triangle choke round 1, 2016. Round 1 submission 2016. Round 1 armbar 2015. Round 1 triangle choke 2015. Round 1 armbar 2015. So every single submission's round 1 except one, which was in round 3.
Yeah, he's probably just fighting bad competition too. You know, like Nelson's an adult. He knows what he's doing in there. I will say the one cause for concern, just a 37% striking defense in his debut, but his chin was not as much as wobbled. And Nelson has not been a very efficient guy historically, but I want to throw it out there. If he gets starched in the first round and we look like idiots, that's probably why.
Got it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and rewatch that, especially that Julian Erosa fight. I want to check it out again.
It'll be well worth the 2 minutes because it was a barn burner. But we have another Mexican prospect up to talk about here. Guy that cost me a lot of money his UFC debut, Daniel Golden Boy Zellhuber, taking on Christos Giagos, who's kind of this veteran that just somehow keeps floating around the rankings. He fights Arman Saryuki and gets destroyed, fights Thiago Moises, gets destroyed, but he's kind of beaten a lot of the other entry-level guys off. Got a knockout of old Ricky Glenn earlier this year at the Apex. So I'm guessing this fight was not made with the intention of Christos Giagos winning it, Maddie, but can he pull the upset and upset UFC brass just like Sean Strickland did last week?
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I have zero clue on this fight. I need to watch more footage. I mean, he got submitted to Thiago Moises in round 1, Suzuki in round 1, lost a decision to Giagos, submitted by Charles Oliveira, submitted by Gilbert Burns. He's fought some really high-level guys. That's
he really has. Like he's just kind of not quite into that rankings tier. But Zellhuber, a lot of people are happy about him. I think the genesis for picking a side in this fight, Daniel Zellhuber has shown good takedown defense so far. It's 91%. will that survive against Giagos here? Because Christos Giagos, 3.16 takedowns, really good 41% accuracy. Keep in mind the names you just read off that list that those stats include. And, you look at that, I think that's the difference in the fight, because Giagos on the feet seems wildly outmanned. Zellhuber is a great striker. Now, I will say he totally froze up in his UFC debut. Trey Ogden completely shit the bed that night against a regional grappler, and Trey Ogden had nothing for him. He admitted pre-fight jitters, but he seemed to get that out of the way when he destroyed Lando Venata in his last fight. So I feel good about Zellhuber getting those jitters out of the way. A very interesting comment there. There is a big underdog because we haven't really seen a great grappler test Zellhuber yet. We haven't seen that exact matchup that Giagos will provide, and he's got a lot of high-level experience. So I like Zellhuber here, but much less than Padilla and Godinez for context.
I like it. I'm going to definitely watch some footage on this one tomorrow.
Interesting that we got a lot of people liking the dog. That's going to upset what I placed on Monday. I placed my my Mexican prospect parlay. I had Padilla, Zellhuber, and then this guy in this next fight up, plus 122 over on FanDuel Sportsbook. I already placed my parlay here. So
we gotta, so if you guys are watching right now, stick around because we're gonna build a parlay at the end. We're 1-1 on our parlay so far. So I think we have a little plus money there. So I think we're up a little bit if I remember.
Yeah, and I don't remember what our legs were last week. I know we got robbed on the cards by John McDessie.
Well, we lost a unit last week. The question is the first week. I think we had some plus money on that parlay. Just barely.
Yeah, plus 188. So we're up 0.88 units.
Yeah, so we're rolling, bro. We just we gotta hit this one. But stay tuned. We're gonna do a three-legger at the end of this.
Yeah, let's go to what I think UFC is hoping is a squash match to avoid the squashing of their young 18-year-old star, Raul Rosas Jr. UFC was a minus 250 favorite earlier this year in May in Miami against Christian Rodriguez, who is a very, very good prospect in his own right. And frankly, Rodriguez beat him pillar to post. Showed a lot of holes in Raul Rosas' game. They weren't all going to be easy first-round submissions like he got against Jay Perrin. And he learned a lot of lessons that night, but UFC is trying to get him back on the right track here against Terrence Mitchell. Terrence Mitchell has 2 UFC moments. Neither of them were great. Earlier this year, submitted by Cameron Simon in the first round.
Knocked out.
Oh, I thought that was a submission.
It was a TKO, I think.
Yeah, it was on the ground, which is not great because I thought that's where Mitchell could have hung in that fight. But then, of course, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He talked shit to Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France absolutely destroyed him and mopped the floor with him and sent him home. So Mitchell was a last-minute injury replacement at bantamweight. He's already lost to Cameron Simon, who is a guy that I don't think is much higher in the ELO rankings than I have Raul Rosas at this point. It was in the way that we know Rosas is going to fight. I think Rosas rolls here. This price is getting a little out of control, but even at 18 years old, the UFC has set this kid up to win this fight, and I think it's that simple.
All right, call me crazy here, and I'm not about to take the dog, so don't worry. But what do you think Raul by KO will be in this fight, price-wise?
Now, it's interesting you mentioned that because I actually wrote that up in my piece over on FanDuel Research coming to publish on Friday. Mm-hmm. This is where submission will likely be very heavily juiced because Rosas got a submission his debut. He averages 1.8 attempts per 15 minutes. Like, that's his thing. Maddie, you and I always talk about maybe you take the submission guy by KO because ground and pounds count just the same. And he could just elbow Terrence Mitchell out of there. So I like the way you're thinking, buddy.
And guess what? Terrence Mitchell, 2 losses by knockout, 0 losses by submission. Obviously, he hasn't fought probably as many guys high level in jiu-jitsu, but I mean, again, he could get caught on the feet or he could get the ground and pound TKO. It's always live. I want to see what that number ends up at. I really do.
I will say that I think there are a lot of people that are going to call Raul Rosas a fraud, which, by the way, he's 18, so you're a weird human being for calling an 18-year-old kid a fraud. Yeah. Secondarily, he mauled Jay Perrin in his UFC debut. Perrin went the distance with Mario Bautista. Perrin went the distance with Aori Kilang. He went the distance with guys that have won in this promotion, and Rosas flattened him. That's just how good Christian Rodriguez is. And I noted before that fight, I took Rosas in a parlay like an idiot, but Rodriguez was very live to win that fight. And of course, he ends up dominating it. Probably a higher level MMA guy at Rosas at this age. But Rosas is a guy that has future championship potential. And I could see him trying his hands here, Maddie, against Terrence Mitchell.
I agree completely. And bro, the way I look at this is Christian Rodriguez, he's never been finished in his professional career. That was a tall task for a 17-year-old
Correct.
Rosas Jr. to win. I mean, think about it. He's got to win his fights by finish, like for the most part. You know, you're coming in the UFC, you have these finishing abilities, you don't have the experience. You're not really going to edge out decisions against guys like that. So he just couldn't get the finish early. I think that's a lot more about his opponent being good versus Rosas not really being there. And now he took a full this was
May, so about a 4-month layoff.
Okay, damn, I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah, he didn't take a lot of damage in that fight. It was mostly contested, on the ground.
Yeah, no, I just thought he was kind of like going back to the drawing board type of thing. I just feels longer, but 4 months.
I don't think he needs to, because I think he put him in there against like mid-level bantamweights, a guy that just popped into my head like Ayman Zahabi. Could be very interesting because his grappling is very real. It is real. Now, a good example of this. Do you remember Sodiq Yusuff? He got this can on short notice last year. I don't remember who it was, but Yusuff came out and said he knew he was going for a submission no matter what, because we think of Sodiq as like this striker guy, right? This guy that knocks everyone out. Sodiq was like, I wanted to practice my submissions. We saw Bo Nickel use his hands, and he said he wanted to use
that one, baby. 5-1.
I think it's a similar thing here with Rosas striking now might be a little underrated just because of how bad he looked against Christian Rodriguez.
I agree.
Terrence Mitchell looked terrible against a guy in Cameron Simon that has fouled and waffled through everybody else. And Mitchell was his worst. It was his best performance to date. So I like Rosas here, and I understand why the price is going where it's going.
100%, bro. Quick read for John here. Quick shout out. The show's slowly been turned into a second favorite UFC show. I appreciate you saying that, John. We just started this thing a few weeks ago, so that means a lot to us for sure.
I appreciate that, John. I assume number one is my Heat Check Daily Fantasy Podcast every Friday. Then, no, but
bro, you know what's funny about this fight is it 100% gives me deja vu and flashbacks to the Bo Nickel KO prop.
Agreed.
I'm telling you. This is going to be the one that hits. I want to see what – now, the thing that scares me is he's minus 630, so it's like, well, granted, Bo Nickel
was like
very similar. This is very similar, bro. I mean, Bo Nickel was even bigger of a favorite. But if I can get – what did you say Bo Nickel closed at?
Bo Nickel closed around like minus 1,500. I believe that KO was still paying like what, plus 225, if I remember correctly. It was pretty decent.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So I think I got the round 1 KO at plus 500. But I think
that's right. Yep.
I think I got the round 1 KO, but I agree. I think the KO prop was like 2 or 3 to 1. But
I don't hate round 1 here either, just because we saw the aggression Rosas comes with in every fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, so what's your best guess at what that price tag is? If Bo Nickel,
it'll be longer. It'll be longer
exactly.
Because of his perceived striking. It'll be longer.
You think you get 10 to 1 on that in a round 1 knockout, or that's a little steep?
Maybe not that high, maybe like 7.
I like
maybe
it.
Like
that's
7.
Hitting.
Yeah, I like that a lot as well. I think that this is, to me, how you bet these fights with lopsided lines. You kind of take a creative but realistic angle. You don't try to outthink the room on Terrence Mitchell by decision, and at like whatever it's going to pay 50 to 1, because you have to also consider how UFC wants this fight to go. Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby do not want Terrence Mitchell to win this fight by a decision.
No.
Yeah, like this is.
However, they didn't want Sean Strickland to win either.
Yeah, but that's a title fight, right? 100%. And then
100%.
Strickland was the only option available. This is the third to last fight on Mexican Heritage Night. Here is a guy that is future champion.
And he's going to show his hands, and he's going to show his hands in this fight, bro. I can feel it right now.
It's a boxing country. Rosas Jr. by knockout.
Bro? We should put his knockout prop in our parlay and just put 2 really favorite things to happen as the other 2 legs.
Okay, I'm
down for that.
I'm absolutely down.
If the chat wants it, we'll do it.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll go with the conservative route again.
We may not have a final number because I think I also want to do Godinez inside the distance in our parlay.
I'm with you on that. All right, we'll figure that out. Quick
So,
question from Henry. Why we putting out picks on TikTok? Yes, sir. So I put out picks on TikTok that like most people want to hear about, right? So I'm not breaking down like the prelims on TikTok. So you guys will find that on Twitter, where my full card is, and sometimes Instagram.
but you might have a pick for this guy, which is a massive, massive welterweight fight in the co-main event. You and I have been talking shop about this guy, guys, just because we're excited as fight fans. Kevin Holland, big mouth, local superhero, back again after submitting Michael Chiesa earlier this summer. That was a win that I think you forecasted as well. You loved Holland in that fight. I liked Chiesa. I was on the wrong side, but I loved me some Kevin Holland in general. The dude is always game, and he honestly looks like he's got dual threat championship potential here at welterweight because of his size. And this is a really great test against Jack Padilla Maddalena. Jack, of course, 6-0, had that fiasco earlier this year, opponent missing weight, pulling out due to brain aneurysm. Did not look his best in his last fight, but that was the second time he cut weight in 7 days. So you could theoretically throw that away and go back to when he just starched Randy Brown cold in the first round, which was very, very impressive. So these guys are both ranked welterweights, potentially a title eliminator, at least for the time being. Maddie, what are you thinking?
Oh my God, I love this fight, bro. I'm so excited for it. First of all, I've heard people compare Kevin Holland to Randy Brown. That to me we have to get that out of here. I get it. They're both tall, rangy guys with striking. But I think Kevin Holland is just on another level to Randy Brown. I love Kevin Holland in this spot. I really, really do. I think he would have destroyed Wonderboy if he mixed in the grappling and didn't want to entertain the fans. I think that the only time he loses is at 185 or against top 3 to 5 guys at 170. And honest to God, 100%. And honest to God, bro, what number would you need Kevin Holland at against a Kamaru Usman or a Leon Edwards? Because I promise you, the way his takedown defense has evolved, and Michael Chiesa is a good wrestler. Like, first of all, I had Kevin Holland by submission in that Chiesa fight at plus 500. I hit that. I had Kevin Holland inside the distance and money line. I had 3 bets on him. I hit big on that fight. I'm a huge believer in Kevin Holland. He has to put this win streak together now. If you look at his resume and record, like the Stephen Thompson fight, he should have took that more serious and won it. But we're past that now. He comes out next fights against Santiago Ponzinibbio, pretty much a damaged hand still. He's fighting one-handed and still sleeps this guy in the 3rd round. Then he comes out against Michael Chiesa, stuffs every single takedown, and submits him. I think Kevin Holland right now is at the most mature point in his UFC career.
Totally agree.
He's found his weight class. He has a crazy reach, those whipping shots. Look, Jack Della, no question, is the better boxer, but if he can't get on the inside, he's getting slept. Like Kevin Holland has the ability to finish this fight on the feet or on the ground. And I like Kevin Holland to get this done. He has to be smart. Obviously, that's the one thing that always going to concern you betting him is like, what's he going to do in the moment? Does he want to entertain fans or does he want to win the fight? I want to see what this number gets to by Saturday. I believe it'll be plus 120, plus 130 if it isn't already. Maybe plus 130, 140 would be an absolute dream scenario to me to get Kevin Holland at that type of plus money. I love this guy, bro. You tell me if I'm too high on him, but I think he's the real deal. Jack Della is a guy that doesn't have all the experience or the resume. He hasn't been in there with guys like Kevin has been. And I just think, honestly, I hate the fact that he's coming off of the last fight he just had, because we would have got an even better price tag if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
Like if he would have starched that dude in the 1st round, I bet you Kevin Holland's plus 160 here,
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah.
I will say here, when Kevin Holland came out it was a couple years ago, he says, I did mushrooms and I had a vision that I was going to be UFC champion. Kamaru Usman was at the peak of his powers, and I said, you ain't defending Usman's takedowns, buddy.
Right.
But he just defended all 5 from Michael Chiesa, who's a very good wrestler, memes aside, right? And I will look in the camera. You guys can laugh at me just like you laughed with Sean Strickland last week as a minus 167 favorite. Kevin Holland would be favored handily, minus 225 over Leon Edwards in my model. Handily.
Oh my God.
Handily. Because of the efficiency metrics. And the thing about like saying like Jack Della Maddalena is going to sleep this guy. One of the most underrated parts of Kevin Holland is his chin. When in a striking match has Kevin Holland ever gone down? And this is a dude that fought 185, big giant 185ers. He's really realistically a welterweight by skinny frame, and he was fighting middleweights, and his chin was just fine. So like, I like Jack Della Maddalena as much as the next guy. His peripherals right now are indicative of a guy who becomes a future UFC champion. But they also haven't come against the best competition. And frankly, I don't hate the Randy Brown comparison. I think Randy Brown is a really great fighter, except sometimes he's got fight IQ issues, and he does have chin issues from time to time that Kevin Holland doesn't have. You and I were talking. I think Jack Della Maddalena is fake sharp in this fight. Like a lot of money's coming in. Maddalena was minus 138 when we pulled this. He's now minus 154. I don't get it. Because I think Holland has all the grappling upside in this fight. We know how dangerous he is with the submissions. Jack got one on a wounded Randy Brown, but Holland is a guy that we've seen very high level. It wasn't submitted by Marvin Vettori, wasn't submitted by Derek Brunson. Like, he's a very, very high level jiu-jitsu practitioner against guys bigger than him. And he's got 8 inches of reach between two guys who are very, very high level strikers. Before he broke his hand, Stephen Thompson was having a little issues with that. And Santiago Ponzinibbio really had problems with that reach. Bro, and Jack is not the longest welterweight either.
If you go back and watch that Stephen Thompson fight, like Holland was landing clean.
Yeah, he won the first round,
bro. And then
he broke his hand.
Even before that, just like he had the takedown, he lets him up for the crowd. Like, that fight is over if he doesn't let Kevin Holland get up to entertain the crowd. Like, Kevin Holland finishes Wonderboy Thompson inside the distance if he doesn't do that to entertain the crowd.
Probably by sub, right?
Right. 100%. I mean, even if he doesn't finish him, the fight changes drastically from that sequence. But yeah, I mean, look, and the thing is Wonderboy Thompson's a much better overall striker, more versatile striker. Like, Jack Della's really good boxer, don't get me wrong, but like, Wonderboy was the reason Holland was getting banged up so much is the kicks.
Yep,
those kicks were insane. And he finally, towards the end of that third, fourth round, Holland's like, fuck this, I'm shooting a couple takedowns.
Right.
And then I think his corner stopped the fight, right?
Yep, they did, because he was getting tattooed.
But that shows how good his chin is, bro. He was getting his ass beat at the end of that fight, and his corner is like, nah, we're just going to save him for another day here. Yep. But yeah, I like Kevin Holland. Let me ask you this. He has 13 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. Let's say it's both the knockout and submission are the same number. Which one would you take? Knockout. If you had to pick knockout. I agree completely. And I think the knockout's probably going to be more favored to happen than the submission.
The interesting thing about Holland is he was kind of this volume, pace, length with a jab guy at middleweight. He's got legitimate fight-ending power at 170. Like, he put Santiago Ponzinibbio to sleep, and that is a guy that has not been knocked out hardly by anybody. Yeah. Right? I think only the Leech is the other guy that's gotten him.
Right, and that was just a great shot. He just
it was kind of ring rusty. Ponzinibbio hadn't fought in a couple of years. There were circumstances around it, but I will say, I think my most contrarian angle in this fight is probably the over, which is also against my model because these guys just have otherworldly chins. Jack's got that notable Australian toughness, right?
Yeah,
and then we've talked about Holland's chin. Like, I kind of lean more a little bit over. I wonder what Kevin Holland by decision would pay, because this is a dude that's got the big long reach advantage. I think he would pile up. I think he'd pile up the more impactful strikes, the kicks to the midsection, the right hand. So I would be very interested to see what that number is.
Yeah, those looping shots though. I just think I want to see what the round 2 and 3 KO props are for Holland. I think round 1's going to be a very entertaining round for the crowd. Maybe a little showboat in, maybe just a little both guys having fun, and then I think Holland's going to eventually catch him. I mean, Jack Della, granted, he was pressuring what's his guy's name in the last fight,
Hasil Bafez.
Yeah. So he was pressuring him, and granted, that dude is he's a warrior. But Jack Della was getting tagged, bro.
Yeah.
Jack Della was 100% getting tagged in that fight, like multiple times.
Hafez is absolutely a buy in his next fight. That dude is also roided to the gills, but hey, we'll take it. But that was a tough fight for Jack on short notice. I do respect Jack's skills, like I said. So I almost maybe am looking like round 2 KO exact outcome without a winner, and round 3 KO exact outcome without a winner. Could be, if you don't want to pick a side in this fight, I do think it's primarily contested at distance. I don't think if you're betting Kevin Holland here because you think he's going to grapple, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that.
Agreed.
It's not a good idea.
And look, and I also don't like him by submission. I mean, obviously the club and sub is live.
Yep.
But the upside in getting Kevin Holland by submission is guys wrestling against him.
Yep.
You know, like he gets a darce or a guillotine or something.
Correct.
You know, so like that's why I'm selling on the sub prop. But at the same time, you just have to understand that there is a possibility if he hurts Jack on the feet first and then grabs his back or something on the ground. But yeah, bro, I'm with you. I want to see this is going to purely come down to the numbers. Like when I'm going to have to look at that decision prop next to the KO props, next to the in round 2 and 3 props, and make a decision based on the numbers. But I will have a full unit or two for sure on his money line, especially if that number goes north of like plus 140, 130. It's going to be at least a 2-unit play just on his money line for me. I have no choice.
You want model numbers here before we move on?
100%. Sell me on his efficiency too, because I know I want to be sold, bro, so I can deploy more units on this.
So interestingly, like I was preparing to fade my model in this because Holland's per minute stats are all fucked up because he was laying under Vettori for so long and laying under Brunson for so long. So his pace stats are not very accurate. You'd have to go back and distance pace him. I've got Kevin Holland 52.4% to win. So obviously he's the underdog. That's good value for the model here. As well as I've got this fight 64.3% to finish early. So about 2/3 of the time it's finishing early per the model size.
So your models against your gut on that one. No.
So I think the values on Holland. Look, this fight is so close. If I was getting plus 120 with Jack, I'd really think about that as well. Right. Just because it's like my model has it. It's much closer in my eyes to a pick'em, and the fight going the distance, 35.7% to go the distance. I think we could still see value there when those numbers come out on Sportsbook.
Right.
Because I imagine most people think this is, you got two guys, they're early finishing everybody. All of Holland's fights at welterweight have finished early. All of Jack's have finished early except his last one. I imagine it's going to be big time juice to not go the distance. So I might have value on the over too.
Yeah. What would you need that number at, like 350?
So I can actually do that math real quick. So if I've got it at 35.71%, I would need it at plus 180 or higher to not go the distance.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I did that wrong. 100%. And it's definitely going to be well over that.
It could. Yeah, it very well could be because a lot of people are thinking early finish here.
Right. I bet you it's plus 300 to go the distance.
Oh, that's music to my ears, bud. I love the chins here. So I don't like betting overs when I've got like a shaky chin or two, but like these guys are ironed. So
yeah,
we've spent enough time on the people's main event. We might as well move on to the one that we all care a little bit less about here. But we got a belt on the line. It's why it's weirdly kind of a pay-per-view. Alexa Grasso kind of really cemented that Mexican run of champions by pulling a upset as a plus 650 dog over Valentina Shevchenko. I was on Alexa Grasso that night, which we'll talk about here.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? I was awesome. Actually on, I've been kind of the champion.
Plus like money line?
What'd you say?
Money line?
Yep. Plus 650.
Oh man, congratulations. That's a huge hit.
But we'll get into it. I've been kind of the champion of the Valentina is declining cause. We'll talk about that. But of course, the dominant champion will have a chance to do exactly what Amanda Nunes did. Lost her belt unexpectedly. Huge favorite. Nunes came right back in and stomped her the rematch. Valentina will get the opportunity to do the same here. We have a decently short betting line. Like it's pretty close between these two, all things considered. Maddie, what are you thinking?
You handed me the mic so fast. I was waiting for you to keep breaking this one down. Look, here's what I'll say about this fight. So right now, what are the betting odds? Grasso's plus 140.
Yep. Valentina about
minus 180.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about this fight. So if you remember, going back to the Amanda Nunes fight, that's how I'm going to compare this fight, right? Because this is a rematch. Amanda Nunes goes out, probably doesn't take her camp as serious. She's at the tail end of her career. She gets into a dog fight in the first round. She gasses early in the second round, and Juliana Pena submits her, right?
Yep.
Nunes was like minus 1,200 in that fight. Whatever the number was, it was north of minus 1,000. She comes back in the rematch, And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was in the minus 300 range in the rematch.
Yes, yeah, she was. She was about minus 300.
Now, the average bettor or casual will say, okay, Amanda Nunes minus 300 after she just lost to this girl. I'm never laying 3-1 on this, right? I'm not laying $300 to win 100 on a girl that just lost to this girl.
Yep.
I hammered Amanda Nunes in that fight.
Nice.
I was like, minus 300 is crazy value. She's astronomically better than Juliana Pena. Pena wins that fight 1 time out of 10, and she won it the last fight. So I hammer Amanda Nunes on the rematch. Now I look at this fight. Valentina, like you said, she's on the decline. I just don't see this fight the same as that Amanda Nunes fight.
Very interesting.
I don't at all see it the same because when I saw these when I saw these odds, I couldn't believe it, right? Because just looking at this logically, what was the money line last fight? Grasso plus 600, Valentina minus 800 or 900, whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. That fight got to the 4th round, and I think you can make the argument Valentina was winning, right?
She was definitely.
She was what, 3-1 or something? I forget what it was.
I think it was at least 3-1.
Yeah. And she just got caught, right? She did like a spinning kick or something and got her back taken and sub. But then I went and watched the tape, and I watched the footage, and Grasso's came out. I think she came out southpaw, or she did something in that first round, right? That kind of caught Valentina off guard. And she just looked good on the feet. Her boxing's really good. I think she's entering her prime. Valentina's kind of now towards the tail end of her career. The problem is the number just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I maybe I'm just talking in circles here, but like I want everyone to understand how I'm thinking about this fight, because I like Grasso, but not at plus 140. Like I just can't fathom taking a girl that was just minus 600 or plus 600 months later at plus 140 against the same fighter. Right. And I get the result is what happened, but it's just a really tough fight for me. I want to see the props. I want to see the exact round outcomes. One thing I'm very interested in, and I want to see what you think about this, but what do you think about a Grasso TKO and what that would pay?
I absolutely hate that because I'm on the flip. So let's dive into the numbers of how the first fight went, because we just saw this tonight in Contender Series, by the way, where commentary can be so horribly biased that you have no idea what's going on, because we at home can't really see which punches are landing and how hard. You can kind of see it a little bit through the film footage, but you can't tell the same way they can live. In that first matchup between these two, Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso, Valentina landed 60% of her significant strikes, which is an elite mark. That would be 95th percentile or better at her division. Alexa Grasso just 32%. And she was particularly ineffective to the head, just 31 of 137 head strikes. So
this is the first fight, not them from other fight.
No, this is the first fight between these two. So Shevchenko landed 60% on Grasso. Grasso only landed 32% on Valentina. So Valentina was landing basically twice as often. Valentina landed 4 of her 6 takedown attempts, so pretty efficient, very easily, and controlled over 5 minutes of the fight. That's how she was up 3-1 before that. What happened is, like you said, there was a spinning kick. It opened up a grappling opportunity for Grasso where she had the opportunity, and she was able to sink in the choke. That fight, that fight, maybe 2-2, maybe 3-1 if Valentina just simply survives the choke. And the data we have says that Valentina was probably going to be the better fighter in round 5. Like, that's just most likely what was going to happen based on the efficiency of who these guys were fighting. But I don't have anything from go ahead. What's up? Real
quick. So how many of those strikes Valentina landed when she had her on the ground though?
So distance strikes 80, and then that would mean totals 87 were on the ground. Had to do a quick math right there.
87 versus 80?
Yeah, Valentina went 80 of 133 at distance against Alexa Grasso, which, by the way, was her best effort in a title fight in her previous 4 appearances outside of Lauren Murphy. So
just the eye test to me, though, when I rewatched that fight, Grasso was landing the more damaging shots early.
Very interesting.
In the first round, not throughout the fight, but she was tagging her nicely in that first round.
That's what the numbers say was the closest round as well, by the way. Maddie was round 1.
I need to rewatch that fight 2 or 3 more times the next day or two.
I'm not saying you're wrong because, by the way, I was on Grasso that night, and I feel like I had the losing side, and I got very lucky. Was the point I'm being, and that I've faded Valentina because she is a fade machine at the price that she has come at, like minus 1,200 or whatever she's had, because she only lands about 3.3 significant strikes per minute. There's just not a lot of volume to separate on the scorecards to a point where someone like Alexa Grasso could take the opportunity to do what she did. But like you said, the price is very different here now. We've got Valentina at minus 184. We got plus 142 on Alexa Grasso. And I prefer Valentina at that number because I get the substantially better fighter when these guys fought just 6 months ago, which wasn't that long of time. But I will say, my handicap to this is identical to a fight that I already got wrong. So I have a chance here to learn from previous mistakes. You know which fight parallel I think this actually is? It's Leon Edwards against Kamaru Usman.
Oh, man.
Usman was dominating that first fight until Edwards found an opportune mistake. But what happened in the second fight? Usman is the same 35 years old, looked a little bit older, looked a little bit slower, wasn't quite as efficient with his takedowns, and Edwards survived to win a split decision, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting that this is the betting line. By the way, I think Kamaru was like minus 300 almost in that rematch. So there wasn't a lot of betting
I hear you on the comparison. I would say that's the most similar comparison. However, I can't get behind Leon was nowhere near. I don't think Leon was in anywhere near as close of a fight.
No.
In the first fight versus Grasso. Grasso was much more competitive in their first fight than Leon was in the Kamaru Usman fight before Leon found the finish.
I would also agree with you which by the way only speaks further to the case for Grasso here because she was closer in the first fight, right?
Yeah.
We got someone from Puebla here for Noche UFC. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. What an opportune time to mention that because this card is for the country of Mexico. This is for you guys and celebrating 100%. Mexican Independence Day. So good to see you there. But I like Valentina at this number. Now, will I bet this? Most likely not, because I think Shevchenko by decision. I can give you my model numbers here real quick, Maddie.
Yeah.
I've got
real quick, let me give you estimated numbers before you do that.
Okay.
So the FanDuel numbers aren't live, but I'm just going to give you a random website of what it's looking close to. Grasso on the KO is 12-1.
Okay.
Valentina submission 6.5-1 plus 650. Grasso by submission again plus 350. Grasso by decision plus 350. Valentina decision is plus 175. So let's hear what your model is on the decision and see if it's EV positive.
So I can go outcome by outcome. I've got Valentina at 57.3% to win, which, by the way, provides value on Grasso's money line, but it's not much. Yeah, I've got her at plus 134, plus 142. It's
essentially a pass.
Yeah, it would be a pass. I've got this fight at 71.5% to go the distance. I imagine that means a do not go the distance will show value because I imagine this will be juice to go the distance if I had to guess. But
ready for this? Distance is minus 140. No is plus 110.
Yeah, I have this is the thing is that it's not quite zero, but it's also less than 0.01%. I have a 0% chance for Alexa Grasso to score a knockout here. This is just an analytical model, and here's why. Because what goes into it, Grasso doesn't have a UFC knockdown, so she hasn't put another girl out, put down on the canvas. Valentina has an elite 63% striking defense, and Valentina, of course, has never been knocked out in this division. So the model looks at it and says
there's at least a 1% chance that Valentina breaks a bone or hurts her leg or wrist because that's a TKO.
Right. Like what I'm saying is that within rounding difference, I'm hoping to build in that injury risk. So I actually have to go in and I have to add in what percentage of career UFC fights have ended by leg break, which will probably be pretty hard to calculate. But then I could add an adjustment for the broken bone thing. But the point being is that Grasso doesn't have a lot of power. I think TKO is an interesting take because then theoretically you have the fight waving off. I probably, if I was going to look at a Grasso specific prop, it would be Grasso by decision. I've got it at 28.9%. I imagine it'll pay better than.
But do you think? But
plus 246 is what I've got it at.
But you think she can edge out a decision, even with what you were saying about the striking and the numbers and the efficiency in the first fight?
So I want to make this very clear. If you're going to bet Alexa Grasso here, you are banking on Valentina being worse in the last fight. If there's no sort of submission moment, anything like that, you are expecting Valentina to decline from her performance in the last fight.
Yeah.
Because Maddie, if so, say it was a 3-round fight, I just locked off the 4th round entirely. My post-fight statistic win probability for Valentina would be north of 85%.
Yeah. Well, so Grasso by points is plus 350. Ballpark.
Yeah, I'm showing value on that. I've got it at plus 264.
Yeah.
So like,
look, I like that a hell of a lot better than her money line because again, from a pure principle standpoint, it's like I just can't take this girl at plus 140 when she was just plus 600. I just can't do it, regardless of how the result turned out this past fight. Especially because it's not like she went out there like Sean Strickland did and dominated in that fight. She was behind the whole fight and then found a submission. And now I'm going to take this girl at plus 140. I just can't do it. So I would lean towards that decision prop. I'm going to watch the footage and look at this fight the next couple of days before I make an official prediction. But I don't see a ton of value in this fight in general. I mean, if you're betting it, to me, it's because it's a championship fight and you want action on it.
Yeah, it's just kind of a degeneracy. So I would need better than plus 135 on Valentina decision to take it. I don't think I'm going to get that.
Right.
So like realistically, the smart thing for me to do here would pass, but don't be surprised if I put Valentina by decision on my scorecard. By the way, Grasso very durable as well. Not really any finishing issues at flyweight, so to speak.
And Valentina had like her in that first fight, and she had some submission attempts, I believe.
I think you remember that, right? I think it was
submission attempt in the first fight.
Yeah. So
no, she didn't. I'm sorry. Officially, she didn't, but I thought she did by watching.
You know, I feel like Grasso, it feels a lot to me, a little bit like when Yair Rodriguez was getting some hype to beat Volkanovski, right? It was much more about, it's like she's training with Diego Lopez and she's doing all these right things and she's on this win streak. I think Tyler Santos is a better fighter than Alexa Grasso. I think Grasso would lose to Tyler Santos. I think she'd lose to Erin Blanchfield. She just got the opportunity first. She got a great opportunity with the back take, but she was not doing very well in this fight before it happened. So I think I think south of minus 200 on Valentina feels a bit like a gift. So it's interesting. We have so many parallels for this, like Usman Edwards, Nunes Pena. Like you start to see things and follow those trends. But I will give you something else scary that I gave you before on Sterling and Cejudo. UFC champions over 35. It ain't going too well. They're 2-23 in their last 25 fights.
Thank you for bringing that up because I didn't know the exact number.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible statistic. And honestly, it almost feels like the money line is reflective of that somewhat. Yeah. You know, because tough fight.
I was expecting a much worse performance from Valentina than what we got actually in the first fight. Now, I will say that I probably think that her efficiency is less than what it was in the first fight. I see this as a very close fight. The Valentina probably does win and score moments in, but it comes down to complacency is a bitch, man. Like, if Valentina had dominated this division for so long, how could she grind with that level of intensity and hunger every single day, thinking that Alexa Grasso was going to beat her at that point? Like, if there's any fire in her belly now, like we saw with Nunes, weigh-ins will be a good thing to see what kind of shape she comes in, you know? I think this is when we'll see it from Valentina, because if she loses this one, probably pretty close to retirement, right? Because she's 35.
I think it could happen too. Like the more we keep talking through this fight. This is an interesting comment from Marco.
Yeah.
He wasn't behind what the hell Valentina was getting touched on the feet. I agree she was getting touched on the feet. Now, with that said, she could still be winning the fight, and most people agreed she was winning the fight. But look, it was not as overwhelming as I think a lot of people think or remember. So anyone on here, I challenge you to go rewatch that fight tomorrow or in the next few days before you make a bet on this fight this weekend. But Austin, let's go ahead and dive into a parlay. We're very limited, just so everybody knows, with what we can parlay early in the week on a Tuesday, right? This show is utilizing FanDuel odds. So we're using money lines. Everything you see on these graphics are pretty much are all from FanDuel. Is there anything that sticks out to you on a money line that you're like, we have to put in the parlay?
Well, I can throw this out there first. I just checked this Grasso Shevchenko fight minus 116 to go the distance.
Okay, minus 116.
It just depends. I mean, that's insane value per my model. So it just depends
What
if
was
that's
remind me? So remind me your model on the distance, and also tell me that against this or the 35-year-old stat again. I want to write it down.
okay. So gosh, I actually can't remember if it's 2 for 23 or 2 for 24 now after Cejudo. It's two and something. I'll go back and dig it up for you, Maddie. So I don't remember exact because Cejudo lost, which added another loss to the stat. I'd have to go back and dig it up.
And what's your model? What percent chance of the model have the fight to go the distance here?
I got it at 71.5%, and it's basically a pick 'em to go the distance.
All right, we'll throw that in the parlay as leg one.
By the way, Nunes Pena went the distance. Edwards Usman 2 went the distance. Like these rematches actually go the distance. Weili Rose 2 goes the distance. These
Pereira Izzy didn't, but most of them have.
Yeah.
But technically that was like a quadrilogy outside of MMA or I don't know, a quintilogy.
Miocic Cormier, both Miocic Cormier's last fight went the distance. Like, you know, a lot of these as you get to know people, it's like you get less opportune moments, is what I've been told. So like I like to go the distance if you'd want to throw it in there.
Honestly, bro, I think there's crazy value. The more we've talked this through, I think there's crazy value in Alexa Grasso by decision.
Yeah.
We look at all the fighters, all the rematches that have gone the distance. We look at the fact that this is in Mexico. We get some home cooking. We look at the fact that Valentina's 35 and these fighters are 2 and 24. Like I think we have to put that in the parlay.
Grasso by decision? No, because I like Shevchenko by decision.
Okay. So,
and by the way, they're giving me plus 180, which I love. It's
so we'll skip that. And it's more conservative anyway.
Yeah, I'm showing value on both Shevchenko and Grasso by decision. So, like, that's really cool.
I like it. All right, we're gonna build this parlay right here. I'm not sure if I can type this in. Brad, do you know if I can type this in? Leg one. Can you type?
Can we go with the over? We'll fight to go the distance minus 116 between Valentina and Alexa.
Yeah, 100%. That'll be our the first leg of our parlay. I think you had a couple favorite. I mean, we're all in on Kevin Holland, right?
I like Kevin Holland too. If we want to build something that's a little bit
plus 120 right now in FanDuel as we speak.
Yeah, you and I both really like Holland, so let's
Kevin Holland plus 120. Brad, are you able to put this on the screen? I'm building a parlay. Can you put it on the screen for us? If you can. So leg one. Go
ahead. So leg one, Grasso Shevchenko to go the distance, minus 116. Leg two, Kevin Holland plus 120. Do we take a little chalk since this thing's already over 3-1?
I can't type on here. Sorry, guys. All right, leg one, Kevin Holland plus 120.
Yep.
We'll have to figure this out for next show. We're still rookies. Leg one, Kevin Holland plus 120. Leg two, fight to go the distance, or do we just take the over?
Is over 4.5 rounds there?
Let me see.
All I saw was to go the distance.
I don't see it yet. So we'll just go the distance.
Yeah.
Minus 116 as leg two.
It don't even need a third leg, says Daniel. It is already plus 330. I think we swallow chalk. I'd like to take Loopy's money line if we don't have an inside the distance prop.
I'm about that. Just so we can say it's a 3-legger too, you know?
Yeah. Loopy's money line is chalk. Something will have gone horribly wrong if she loses to Elise freaking Reed. Reed in my
Elise
model.
Reed is terrible, bro.
Elise Reed in my model just lost to
leg four. Josh Fremd on the money line.
It's a cool story that you had that he saw. I feel bad about feeling like he's going to get sent in the shadow.
No, I know.
I feel like Roman is destined for the rankings. You know.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Roman. All right, parlay. Ready, boys and girls. $100 parlay to win $395. Kevin Holland plus 120. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina to go the distance at minus 116, and Loopy Godinez minus 480 on the money line. $100 is gonna put $395 in your pocket. That's hitting, bro.
I think we got another winner there. Mattybetss.
I'm 100% putting that on my full betting card, and I never put more than like a 2-legger on my betting card. So
I'll be riding that one as well. Mattybetss was a tough call from us last week because we forgot Australian judges. So like even if he earned the win, he was going to get robbed in the end.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
And he did. Mattybetts fought very well. Like I thought he won the fight. I had it 29-28 for him. But
the good news is we're 1-1, up 0.8 units on the parlay. So we're about to be up 4. We're about to be up 4.7 units after this one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks everyone tuning in. We're back every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, maybe 10:15 after Contender Series. Like, follow, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. If you want to listen to the show, you can now listen on Apple or Spotify, as well as watch the full thing on YouTube. We'll have chapters on the bottom of the YouTube page. So if you want to come back and watch a specific fight breakdown, you will be able to do that now. So thanks again, Austin, and we will see you guys next week.
You're very welcome. Buenos noches. We'll see you guys next week.